Hello, hello. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. We have a fantastic episode today. My name is Aldwyn, Altuney from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And my name is Ken Kleinberg, and I'm coming to you all the way from the USA in San Diego County, California.
And my name is Jarne Großstück from Germany and living in Bali currently.
Fantastic. We're going to be chatting about the truth about emotional intelligence straight after this short introduction.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show, hosted by myself, Ken Kleinberg from San Diego County, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And our goal here on this show is to help you to break away from the mainstream media propaganda and lies, the disinformation and misinformation that's out there in the mainstream, and really help you to start questioning everything and start doing the research for yourself. We want to punch through all of that disinformation and misinformation. Our goal here is to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass and then pave the way for a new awakened civilization. And we would love for you to come along for the ride. Don't take our word for it. The things that we share here on the show, that goes for our guests too. Start doing the research for yourself. Start going and asking the questions for yourself. Get out there and really find the real truth behind things. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Yes, welcome, welcome. Fantastic topic today, the truth about emotional intelligence. A little bit about our guest today, Jarne. He is known as the Healing Magician. He's a channeler, an intuitive healer, a results coach, and thought leader. He's very passionate about the power of peace and how to attain and maintain a peaceful state no matter what challenges are around the corner. This has connected him to the art of healing at a very young age, and his endless curiosity about what causes diseases to happen helped him find ways to heal himself emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Welcome, Jarne, and welcome to my co-host, Ken. Great to have you both here. And happy Easter. Those watching us, let us know, where are you joining us from? Let us know in the comments, where are you joining us from right now in the world? Now, Jarne, you are actually very young, however, very mature for your age. I was quite blown away when I had a session with you recently. I absolutely loved it. And I loved how spiritual you are and how in tune you are. Now, can you share with us your age and what is it that's made you so mature at such a young age, do you think?
Sure. Yeah, pleasure to be here. And thanks for having me. So I'm 24. And why am I so mature? I think it's because I learned out of the mistakes I make and I give my best not to do them all over again. I'm analyzing my own feelings and the reasons why I am feeling a certain way since I can think of, and I think it's basically it, yeah.
And you've also traveled quite a bit, haven't you? So can you share some of your traveling journey as well with us?
Yes, sure. So I went to Australia. This is why my German accent is a little different as well. Moved to Australia with the age of 20 and therefore in a quite young age, been on my own, traveled alone for a while as well, and really have been contemplating about my life, who am I, and all those things a lot in that time. It has been difficult, doing lots of difficult work in Australia, lots of struggles, but yeah, we're here to overcome all of them. And for me, there's always just growth and experience.
Yes, I do find that when people have traveled a lot, it does help to gain wisdom as we travel. And I think it really opens you up to, what the whole world is about. And I must say, every time I've gone overseas, I'm always so grateful to come back to Australia. It really puts things in perspective, and we have a lot of what they say is first world problems, right? There's a lot of first world problems. And generally, if you have, clean water and if you have shelter, you're already sort of in the top 80% of the population. There's a lot of people out there without the basic necessities. And I think often we tend to take that for granted. Now, of course, it is Easter time, Good Friday today, and a lot of people are going to be catching up with family. And so our topic today, I think, is going to be really important for Easter, and anything around emotional intelligence, I think, is really, really crucial. And I'm always blown away by how many people don't have emotional intelligence. So let's pull this topic apart. Now, Jarne, what does emotional intelligence mean to you?
Emotional intelligence, I think, if we look at our intellect, it's one thing, and I think we all can connect that to something. However, emotion, what is an emotion? Energy and motion. And I think to know about the movement of our energy within our energy system, our being, is emotional intelligence. So how am I working with that energy that flows through my body? And am I actually aware of that happening?
Yes, emotional intelligence, definitely emotion. Yes, energy and motion, absolutely. And I must say, looking at my last relationship that lasted 10 months, at the end, we agreed to be friends with my ex-partner, and then he suddenly just blocked me off Facebook and just totally cut me out of his life, which I actually found very emotionally unintelligent. Actually, I actually thought, well, that's not very emotionally intelligent. That's kind of quite immature is how I viewed that. Now, that, of course, that's my point of view. And I guess some people deal with end of relationship like that. However, generally, if I've loved someone in the past, there's always going to be some love there, even though our relationship wasn't quite a match. I always wish the best for all of my exes. And I think that shows emotional intelligence personally, right? I don't hold a grudge towards anyone. I think everyone is our teachers in some way, and we are teachers in some way as well. And I think there's a reason we attract certain situations and certain people into our lives at different times. However, if you don't have emotional intelligence, if you're not able to communicate with people, then not only are you going to have crappy relationships, you're also going to have issues in your business, in your family life. And how many people in families don't talk to family members because someone said something once upon a time that they didn't like, or they have a certain viewpoint that certain people are a certain way, and they just don't talk to family members. Sometimes 20, 30 years goes by, and the next thing they know, the person's dead. And, and it blows me away. It really blows me away. So why do you think people have such issues with this, emotional intelligence, Jarne?
Good question. And I struggled with that my entire life as well, and people acting out of their emotional response rather than actually thinking of like, am I doing something wrong right now that I have struggle in this particular relationship, or that I am misunderstood, or however. No, I think that people just try to look for the solution everywhere, but they're not actually looking on what are they doing within themselves that is causing this situation to happen. So if I treated someone wrong as a child in school, like great example, we're a teenager, we're kind of making mistakes, or we're kind of sometimes a little stupid as well in the way that we act, but we do not learn really how to express our emotions. So when we're making that mistake as a child, like how many people are actually reflecting on the mistake that they did? And then if I never reflect on the things that I did in my life, and I really never learn out of my mistakes, then I carry this in the adulthood, and then I'm an adult who has not dealt with his his stuff earlier and is acting as like a child and really does not knows how to actually treat people the way that they want to be treated themselves, because all they do is making it about them building this barrier around themselves because of the problems they have not dealt with earlier. And then it's just like a snowball effect of not dealing with their issues and then projecting their problems onto other people. So yeah, I never really understood it, how people can be so ignorant around that, and how people can't treat people as they want to be treated themselves.
I would agree with that. And I think it's like when people get triggered, they act like a 3-year-old, and generally they're either going to fight, they're going to freeze, or they're going to run, right? And it's a lot easier to freeze and run than to fight. Now, and I must say, in my upbringing, we were always taught that anger is danger and not to be, confronting. However, sometimes I think you can be blunt without being rude. I think we also need to speak our mind, because I know for a lot of my life, I've been very much a people pleaser, and I've put a lot of people before myself, and then I've ended up in some way resenting that because I haven't then valued myself. So I think there's a fine line and a balance there, and I think, yes, exactly, Jeff, fight or flight. And thank you all those joining us. Let us know, where are you joining us from today? Fight or flight, exactly. And Rashid says, great chat. Thank you so much. We've got Karen here. Happy Easter from the Gold Coast. And Facebook user, please let StreamYard see your comments, or Facebook user see your comments. There's a little button there so we know who this Facebook user is, or just tap in there, type in who that is. We'd love to hear. So love this idea for a show. Brilliant, so needed. Thank you so much, Facebook user. Love to know who you are, so please pop your name in there. Thank you so much for your contribution. We'd love to make this an interactive show, so please do pop your comments or questions in there as we're chatting today. So it's, as we're saying, people fight, they freeze, or they run. And it's very easy for people to run, to just go, oh, it's all too hard, I'm just not going to deal with it, I'll just cut this person out of my life. However, what ends up happening is that there can be a lot of resentment that can build up if it's not dealt with or not released in some way. Right. And I think that the more we can get conscious where we've been unconscious about these things, the more we'll be empowered in our own life. And while we can reach out to people, like sometimes I've reached out to friends in the past and they just haven't responded. And I think, well, what the hell's going on with them? And, sometimes as much as you do your best to communicate with people, if they're not open to communicating back, then sometimes you just got to let people go, just let them go with love, And so there's a great saying in Landmark training I've done in the past where they say, be committed, not attached, right? So I'm committed that people have a peaceful life like you are, Jan, that they have a peaceful life and they have peaceful relationships. And I guess the thing is really finding that peace within yourself. If there's people in your life not talking to you or being nasty, they're usually hurting people, hurt people, as I always say, right? Hurt people. And so you send them off with love, and you don't have to have those people in your life necessarily. But at the same time, find a way that you don't take it personally either. If someone's being nasty to you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've done anything wrong. It means, it's saying more about them than it is about you. And that's how I like to deal with those situations. Ken, what are your thoughts about this? Have you got people in your life that don't talk to you, or that have cut you off in the past, and you've kind of wondered what's happened there?
I don't know if it's necessarily like the people that have cut me off. I think where my area of struggle with this whole thing is simply this. When it comes to conflict, or when it comes to like a situation where there's conflict, any kind of conflict, my first reaction tends to be to freeze, and then I tend to avoid because I just don't want to deal with it. But I've learned also in the past that that's not necessarily a good thing either, because if I'm avoiding the situation, in my head, it often gets worse, because my head just starts spinning it over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then pretty soon it turns into something that it's not. And, it's really, really interesting to kind of think about this too. And Aldwyn, you also mentioned like people pleaser. Well, that's also a weakness of mine that I, especially in recent days, like I've really recognized it. And it even like shows up in like areas like my mentor. And I've recently had to ask myself questions around that, going, okay, am I doing this in my business to please my mentor, or am I doing it to show up for myself and for my business? And, it's just interesting realizing that and going, okay, there's some adjustments that need to be made here, because that, my past struggles definitely show that I'm a people pleaser. If I don't, if I show up for somebody, for example, let's use the mentor. example, if I show up for my mentor and oops, these things, I neglected to do, then, instead of, looking at that as going, okay, so I still need to improve on this area. I still need to grow in this area. I am often very fixated on the fact that my mentor is going to be very disappointed with me, rather than kind of looking inward and going, okay, what adjustments do I need to make to show up better for my business? So these are just areas that I notice in my own life. I'm like that need to grow, that need to, and I guess another word you could say is nurtured.
Yeah, great self-awareness there. And I love what Jeff said here. If you're not losing friends, you're not growing. I love that. And that is so true. As your energy expands in many ways, as you keep growing, if there's people around you that aren't growing and evolving, then, definitely people will drop away. And that's not to say that, one is worse than the other. Everyone's on their own journey, right? Everyone makes the decisions for themselves. And, I think choosing very carefully who you hang out with, like they say, we're like the 5 closest people we hang out with. We tend to be very similar to those 5 people. So choosing carefully, are there people around you who are lifting you up and encouraging you on your journey? Or are there people who are putting you down all the time? Are there people who are negative all the time in your life? And actually getting conscious to that, are you attracted to people who are full of drama? Are you full of drama yourself? Are you just one big walking drama? This is just getting conscious to that is huge. And Rashid, welcome from Melbourne. Rashid's with us. Robert, good to see you. Robert's in Brisbane, I know. Great to see you guys. Let us know what are your thoughts around emotional intelligence? Let us know in the chat here. And Jarne, now back to you. Jarne. You are incredibly mature for 24, I must say. I think it's wonderful. And you do work with clients one-on-one, of course, with sessions and channeling, etc. Now, Jarne, can you share a little bit about your experiences on your journey, and how have you found people as far as emotional intelligence goes? Like what percentage of the population would you say are actually emotionally intelligent from your experience, from the number of people that you've come across roughly out of 100% being totally emotionally mature and 0 being totally not emotionally mature? What kind of percentage would you say are emotionally mature out of your friends and colleagues and people you've come across in your travels?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I say totally mature, eventually 3 to 5, like totally fully aware.
Wow.
Maybe
that's pretty low.
maybe yes. And then 85 or something like that are totally disconnected to that, because they just do avoid everything to look at their pain. And when I do have conversations with people, then people usually tell you a story rather than using less words. They're telling you the story around the problem, but they do not actually talk about the problem itself. So they talk about all of the symptoms, but they do not actually go into the cause of the symptom. And this is really the main aspect, that people just do everything to avoid to look at their pain.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd say in the number of people I've come across, and I've been a lot around personal development circles as well. And even in those people that have done personal development, there's still a lot of emotional immaturity going on, interestingly. And I would say about the same. I'd say about 5% of people I know are really emotionally mature and intelligent. And, the other 95% are living in fear or drama in some way. And it's, if you think about the stats, like, the wealthiest people on the planet is about 1 to 5%, right? And I'd say, to build wealth too, which wealth is energy, right? Wealth is energy. And I know a lot of people have issues around money, right? And, we've been brought up to think money doesn't grow on trees and wealthy people are greedy and all those kind of things, right? However, really to be able to withstand wealth. I mean, generally people have wealth, they've been contributing in some way, right? There are, of course, those that are very evil, that are some of the biggest billionaires on the planet. You definitely have your evil ones as well, right? However, generally speaking, that emotional maturity would attract more wealth and more opportunities in many ways, and it would involve building up some kind of resilience to those who are going to try and pull you down. And that's where there's a saying, it's lonely at the top, right? That kind of stuff. You're going to get your haters and you're going to get your lovers no matter what you do. And so the more you put yourself out there, the more you're going to have both. And so that it will take emotional maturity to be able to succeed in all areas of life, right? Whether it's wealth, relationships, family, health, all those things. You need a certain amount of self-worth. Now, Ken's an expert in the area of health, right? You need a certain amount of self-worth to actually look after your health, right? And if you don't have that emotional maturity, if you don't have that self-love, then you're not going to have that self-care either. Right? And I heard a great saying the other day, actually, that self-discipline leads to self-worth. And I thought, oh, that is just gold. Like when you honor your word for yourself, when you honor yourself and you honor people and treat others as you'd like to be treated and actually honor your word. And this can be an ongoing battle for some people, is this, ongoing journey of keeping your word around things. The more you do that and the more you practice that, the more you will feel better about yourself and the more you will build that muscle of integrity to keep honoring your word moving forward. So what are your thoughts on that, Ken? Would you like to say a bit more about that and what your thoughts are?
Actually, before I go, Jarne wants to say something here, so I'm going to actually turn it over to him.
Amazing, yeah. The thing is really that, when we look at the top and like, what are they doing differently in terms of the finances or in terms of really building wealth and making a difference, like what are they doing different than the others? And they all say, I resonate with what you say, the 5 people, in our surrounding, the closest 5 people who we talk to, who we listen to, and they do not even need to be our family members or our friends, but what am I doing when I'm on my own? Who am I listening to? Who am I learning from? And what am I doing to really constantly develop myself and to be better than I have been before? And like I grew up as well. Money is evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. Or like the people who have the money are evil. And like, but also from me contemplating the world, looking at the world and seeing all the bullshit that is going on and couldn't put my mind onto it, like God will create this. I don't know if that's God's work. I don't really believe in that. So I stopped believing and went down a whole nother rabbit hole from not believing. However, some belief I carried with me, right? And this was the one of like, yeah, if all the people are doing evil stuff with money. So I had to really rewire a lot in that regards. And it wasn't emotional intelligent to push the responsibility onto others, because we are all here making choices and being responsible for what we put out there. So as soon as I realized that everything is a choice and that I actually can choose where I want to end up to, I started making different choices, and not everyone has to basically end up getting run over by a car on a highway because he wasn't listening to himself. And this is then again, like what needs to happen? How much pain do people first need to experience for them to actually wake up and to make a difference for themselves and their lives, and being more on their own and listening to their own voice rather than following other people's beliefs. It's really about us, like, who do I want to be and what do I have to do to become that person? And this is really something everyone should question themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. And thanks for all our comments coming through here. We've got our amazing Ken Dunner here. Ken is from Sugarland, Texas, just southwest of Houston. He always puts beautiful comments on our shows, and here's his one today. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness in you 3 peeps for sharing your delectable, scrumptiously, deliciously, edibly tasty, good, heartfelt nuggets of wisdom, kindness, goodness, patience, encouragement, empathy, understanding, sincerity, perseverance, knowledge, honesty, love, hope, courage, tenacity, awesomeness, caring, positivity, compassion, passion, inspiration, resilience, respect, appreciation, gratitude, enthusiasm, guidance, motivation with us. Oh, I love that, Ken. The power of words. The power of words. I absolutely love that. So positive. It's beautiful. Jeff says here, if you want to please all, buy an ice cream shop. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Oh, yes, we all love ice cream, don't we? For sure. Tracy, beautiful Tracy Corman from Two's Company. Emotional intelligence is extremely important for a peaceful life. Yes, absolutely. Because life is going to throw curveballs, right? Life will continually challenge. You will be challenged left, right, and center. Unexpected things will happen. And how are you going to deal with it? Ken says, I know way too many immature peeps. Exactly, Ken. What we're saying, way too many. And everyone's on their own journey, of course, right? Tracy says, emotional intelligence is extremely important in making a happy life for oneself. Absolutely. Ken says, I know more lovers than haters. Oh, well, that's great. More, I think the world definitely needs more love, less war, for sure. And Jeff says, integrity is what you're born with. Now, there's an interesting point. Integrity is what you're born with. So what are your thoughts on that? Is it something you're born with, or is it something that that you gain over time, integrity? That's very interesting, Jeff. What do you guys think about that?
I would say both, but back to Jarne.
Yes, I'd say also both. Definitely something we can work on, and depending on, what is my own inner integrity, though through conditioning and family, what their beliefs are, and we somehow born in that as well. When we go back into the adulthood, and then it's a choice to change our way of being. I would say integrity can be very personal and can be very different for the individual itself.
Yes, good answers on that. Integrity, it's interesting because I do wonder about sociopaths and psychopaths, whether they're actually born that way. I do wonder when you look at a baby, I think, is that baby really a sociopath at birth or a psychopath at birth, or is it something that they develop over time? It's something that really has me baffled, because I tend to think that everyone is great unless proven otherwise. And I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. However, it's not about, I guess, people inherently. I do believe that we're all part of the greater organized design or part of the God energy. I do believe we are all amazing and love at our core. That's what I believe, that we are that love energy and peaceful at core. However, I think with the human experience, people get shut down. They have really bad experiences over time, and then they become, bitter and twisted, resigned and cynical, and then that kind of behavior then can evolve through their years of growing up, where they end up hating themselves, hating life, and hating others. And there's a lot of people out there that are really just not grateful for the amazing life that they have. I always say we're 1 in a billion just by being born, right? You are extraordinary just by being born. There's a reason you are here. And yet through COVID, we've had 4 times the suicide rates, right? We have about 1 million people a year normally worldwide taking their own lives. And, I find it absolutely tragic. I've had 4 friends myself take their own lives. And, I think something needs to be done to improve this emotional intelligence happening out there, that can actually help people evolve through any challenges that happen, that they can come through that. So how do people become more emotionally intelligent? What are your thoughts on that, Jarne?
If we look at those hermetic principles and universal laws, that every cause has an effect and every effect has a cause. So how can I cause my future to happen? Rather than being a victim of outer surroundings, how can I really put myself into situations that cause me to be happy? Now, what can I do now? How can I act now? What can I think now? Choose to think now, or start changing things if I have difficulties to control my thoughts. But start really doing everything to talk positively and to really start creating a new reality for myself. Because also, it's a very, very deep topic. You brought me back into what can we actually really control? This is a great question that humanity now is up to realize. If every cause has an effect and every soul is born into a body, if I get born into, or if a child gets born into a body and then gets raped as a young girl, to get a horrible scenario, what has happened that this soul, this girl ends up in this situation? What choices were made on either side? The girl, the parents of the girl, the person who was the raper, every cause has an effect. So where do we start there? When did this evil shit started to happen? Yeah, when did someone started to abuse their power to start creating that bad or negative karmic pattern? Because no matter who was it in the first place, someone allowed this to happen. And then if we do not speak our truth, if we do not speak up when something is wrong, and when we see something wrong is happening, an example, emotional abuse can be through words. We can say something that is just harmful towards someone else. If we do not speak up in those moments, what we're doing is we're giving the abuser the power to do more of that, because it fuels this energy and it kind of proves the allowance of it. And in terms of free will, like, we really have to be very, very acknowledgeable of what we speak when we speak up, and to really hold healthy boundaries in that. So it's a very deep topic on its own, what I just started rolling up. But however, being really, really emotional intelligence, that no matter if I feel something is wrong, I have to speak about it. If I feel that there's something I don't align with, that is against my values and is actually harmful towards someone else, and the highest good for all, what I'm standing for, I have to speak about it.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Speak your truth, right? And there's going to be people that are not going to like that, and that's okay, because everyone has their own version of truth. One of our previous shows, we did a show called The Truth About the Truth, right? Which is,
Yep.
you might want to go check that out. We've got the shows up on BitChute and Rumble, and also on the podcast platforms and Total Truth Show page on Facebook. Check out some of our previous episodes. So the truth will be different for everyone. It's important to speak up. Ken, what is your thoughts on this?
So, I think it's really interesting that you mentioned cause and effect. And then, you've got a cause, which let's put another name to it. Circumstances. Circumstances are going to happen everywhere. The effect dictates what you're going to do during those circumstances. And the key in that is remembering that you have a choice in every circumstance. You have the power of choice. But a lot of people, myself included, I know for many, 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 many years, I often would default to being a victim of the circumstances. Instead, in recent years, I've came down the journey of growing and teaching myself to realize that in every circumstance, no matter good or bad, or no matter maybe severe, in every circumstance, I have a choice. I can either choose to be a victim, or I can choose to pivot and go a different direction and make something out of that. Now, the circumstance doesn't go away, doesn't necessarily mean that it makes it easier. It just puts the power back in my hands and gives me that choice to then pivot, and gives me an opportunity to make something else out of that may have not been there before, because maybe, in another circumstance, I fell victim. We have that power of choice. And I think that's really crucial for a lot of people to get that through their head, because what happens is, if the circumstance is bad or challenging, or even sometimes just causes a lot of anxiety, it can actually be really hard to remember that you've got a choice. Because what's just happened, that if you're shocked by a circumstance and you've got anxiety, maybe you even have fear, what literally has happened in that moment is you have gone into somewhat of a state of hypnosis. And then what happens during that state is your neural pathway of realizing that you've got a choice and realizing that you have the power of choice is being blocked. And so a lot of times it's going to take a lot of work and practice to, when the circumstance hits, to be able to step back and then be in that moment and go, okay, what's going on here? I'm recognizing this moment. I'm recognizing what's coming up for me. I'm recognizing these emotions. Now I need to remember that I have a choice here, and I have the power to, pivot, or I'm just going to give in to these circumstances. I think it's really important to do the inner work and to do the constant work of remembering you have a choice in every circumstance. Again, that doesn't mean the circumstance goes away. That doesn't mean that circumstance becomes easier. It just means you are recognizing your power in that circumstance.
Beautiful. The power of choice. Absolutely. And getting conscious to our choices and conscious to how we're doing life. How are you doing life right now? Are you happy with how you're doing life? Are you happy with the people in your life right now? Sometimes might need to just, let some people go from your life or hang out with them less. And sometimes these people are family. Here we are at Easter, right? We're going to be hanging out with family. It's going to bring up a lot of stuff for people, like it does around Christmas time. And, it's going to bring up stuff for you. Is there someone in your family who you could actually help resolve something this Easter, and you could actually go and chat with them and go, from what happened all those years ago, I felt this way when you did this or whatever, maybe it's time to actually open communication again, because everything can be resolved with communication without making other people wrong, because we can't control what other people do. It's how we respond, right? And people can get very offended sometimes. People say something that they don't like and they go, oh, I don't like that person anymore. I'm just going to shut them out, And is that really what you want for your life? Is that really, the highest intention for those in your life right now? It's things to consider this Easter and moving forward at any time that you're with people in your life. Are they the people you really want to be hanging out with? And, what are your thoughts on all of this? We've got Ken here says you can be taught integrity. You can be taught integrity. He says we were chatting about, is integrity something you're born with? What do you think? Those that are joining us now, do you think it's something you're born with, or is it something that you can be taught, integrity? Ken says, I may give people the benefit of the doubt. However, when people show you who they are, believe them, right? People show you who they are, believe that. That's a great one there, Ken. I love that. Jeff says, improve today, turn off your television. Yes, I think that's a great idea too, because 98% of stuff on the TV is full of drama. And if you watch Netflix, there's even more drama after drama after drama. And so people think life has to be this way, right? And it definitely doesn't have to be full of drama. Angie says, unfortunately can't stay. Happy Easter to you, Angie. Great to see you there. Angie is from Brisbane. We were at a book writing workshop together recently. Great to see you there, Angie, and hopefully you can catch the replay. All right, let's go over back to Ken.
Yeah, so sorry. During that last thing, I had something else I wanted to say and it just went away, but now it's back. So interesting enough, I just, I don't remember where I watched it from, but I watched a video and it was interesting that, so it was an illustration. And Jarne, I think you're going to like this one too. So they had two jars and both jars had cooked white rice in them. Or something like that, something organic like that. All right. One jar was a jar and they took a label and they put love. So every morning for 30 days, this mom and her kids would wake up and speak words of love to this jar. The other jar had had a label of hate. So also at the same point that they would speak love to this jar, they would speak hateful, negative words to this other jar. At the end of 30 days, what's interesting is the jar that was spoken love to. So again, I'm kind of alluding to the vibrations that we give out with the words we say and different things like this. So the jar that was spoken, that they spoke good things, love, peace, joy, all those things to, was unspoiled. The jar that was spoken hateful, negative words had mold all inside of it. It was just a very, very interesting, powerful picture to me that shows how powerful words are and how powerful the vibrations that come from us can be. That I just found that very fascinating.
Yes, that is brilliant, Ken. And I first heard about that actually with Dr. Emoto. Dr. Masaru Emoto was a guy that was born, Japanese guy from Yokohama, a businessman, author, and pseudoscientist who claimed that human consciousness could affect the molecular structure of water. And he did a whole lot of experiments around water and looked at the molecular structure of when you give different water different energy. And it showed that it is definitely shaped by the environment, by the thoughts and the emotions. And if you think human beings are 70% water, we are affected the same way. We are heavily affected by our word. Your word is your bond. We are nothing. In Landmark, they say you are nothing and your words, right? You are nothing and your words. So you actually are who you say that you are. You are who you say you are for yourself, and you are who you say you are for others. Who you think you are and who you think you're not. You're right. You're right. Whatever you can conceive and believe, you will create, I believe. And this is the thing, we are incredibly powerful beings as human beings. And, we often can become our own worst enemies with a lot of negative self-talk. The number of people that I hear say, "Oh, I'm such an idiot, I did this," or "I'm so," be very aware of the self-talk that you have. Are you calling yourself an idiot every second day? Or every second hour for some people, or are you actually, actually acknowledging yourself and loving yourself? And this is something that I've actually been working on in my own journey, because as a teenager, I hated my life. I hated the world. I didn't want to be here. I was very self-destructive. I was drinking a lot, smoking a lot, doing drugs. I was watching a lot of negative news. I was seeing animal cruelty. I had plenty of evidence for why I didn't love life and why I didn't want to be here on the planet. And then there came a turning point where actually I started to see that actually life is such a gift, and actually I do want to be here, and actually I don't want to live this crappy life anymore. And I started to consciously, with emotional intelligence, started to consciously turn my life around bit by bit, little by little, course by course, and I continue to work on myself. I've invested $500,000 on my business and personal development since 2005, and I continue to invest. And one of the best things I did recently was a self-love weekend. It was awesome. And ever since that self-love weekend, which I did up at Gin Gin with two of my clients, the self-worth warriors, with Andrew and Colette, absolutely brilliant. In fact, we interviewed Colette recently about the truth about self-worth. Actually, you can go and see that on a previous episode. And since that, every time I brush my teeth now, I look at myself in the mirror and I say beautiful things to myself, like I am beautiful, I am loving, I am kind, I'm resilient, I am disciplined, I am. This I am statement is so powerful, right? It really connects us, I believe, to God consciousness, to universal consciousness. Is this I am, having powerful I am statements and actually practicing that consistently, like going to the gym. You don't just go to the gym once and suddenly you're, built like a superhero. You consistently go to the gym, as Ken knows, right? And actually, I went to the gym yesterday. I feel so much better since I went to the gym. So I do notice now, if I don't do my regular, at least 3 times a week exercise, my self-worth actually goes down a little bit, because that's something that I've said for myself, that I actually want to honor my body and want to exercise. And if I don't, then I'm actually not honoring myself. And actually making the time for that, I think, is so crucial to honor and love yourself. And I think it will definitely lead to a higher level of emotional intelligence when you love yourself. I think it's very closely linked with self-worth. Jan, what are your thoughts about that?
I love that. Yes, you just said so many important things right now, and I hope that everyone is listening and giving their best to implement as much as they can. With the I am statement, it's very powerful, and the more I learned to consciously put my emotions into those statements, so I really feel the emotion with the I am statement. This is then again, or I get stronger every breath I take, and then really feeling the statement resonating within my being. This is one of my favorites, because how many hours a day am I breathing? And if I get stronger with every breath I take, and I really rewire that blueprint in what can happen, there's just one way, and there's just growth, and I also feel what you're saying there, Aldrin, that I was calling myself things that I do not even speak it out right now, right here, because I do not want to use that at all anymore. So this is again then it. I don't even want to place this anywhere anymore, to make it really clear for the universal mind, that this is not an option. And we have to be very aware with not just the words that we use. I mean, I can say fucking hell, or I can use it differently and I can make it something very, very bad. But it's about the feeling that we carry within ourselves as well. So if I feel judgmental about myself whilst I'm doing it, or when I'm saying an I am statement and I am powerful, but actually I do not feel it, then I have to maybe connect that statement to a memory where I felt powerful, so I can connect that emotion from this moment where I really felt powerful, and or if it's even proud of myself because I cleaned my room today, or whatever, or because I'm brushing my teeth so enthusiastically and I'm saying those beautiful statements. No matter what it is, I think everyone felt great, happy, whatever, had a great emotional state one day in their life. Now I think everyone knows how to connect with that. So if we take that memory and we connect it to that I am statement and really placing the gratitude within it of that moment, it's so beautiful. Or I am so grateful that I get stronger with every breath I take. An example to place the gratitude in that really comes, with the resonate, or let it resonate from the heart space then.
I love that. Yes, the feeling. The healing is in the feeling, they say. So absolutely, as you're saying the words, to add that feeling, to really feel it, to embody it, right? That then takes it next level again. Yeah, absolutely love that, Jarne. Fantastic. There's something about you when you speak. I feel very peaceful when I hear you speak, Jarne. I must say, you've got this sort of really peaceful energy about you. It's absolutely beautiful. We've got
I
Ken
know
here.
you should start your own podcast or something like that, because you've got the voice for it.
You got the
Yeah, I
voice.
know it is. It's on my list of doing things as well. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And I
The
love speaking. Thank you guys.
get-to-do list. Ken says, I drop unnecessary people like a hot potato. Thank you, Ken. I love how you do that. With love, no doubt. With love. You drop them with love, right? And he says, Ken says, hey, Jeff, I love my Bravo. I love my Bravo. Okay, so he's speaking to Jeff, who's also on here. Jeff Veal has been commenting there. Fantastic. And for those who want to get into gratitude, we have the Global Good News Challenge that you can participate in absolutely free. And I'll pop the link in here. If you go to the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page, the whole idea is to lift the energy on the planet and help to decrease depression and suicide rates. And this is your way that you can be the change you wish to see in the world. So, Ken, back to you now. What are your thoughts on all of this latest discussion?
I think I've pretty much exhausted, what I wanted to say, as far as that goes. But I just, I just really want to remind people that your words are very, very powerful. And the thing of it is I even catch myself all the time saying like negative stuff, and it's often to myself. Why didn't I do this? And I could have done this better, or this or that. I constantly catch myself doing that. And when that can be switched around, it's like, okay, is that actually useful? And the answer is no, And so it's like learning to switch that around and going, okay, what can I say that is now useful? And that's also a really key thing, is having it be useful. Jarne, you just chimed in. Go for it.
I love that, because then again, back to choice as well, because it's not that I do not receive thoughts that I don't like, or that because we have this collective consciousness that we're all accessing, and sometimes there's a download coming in that I do not like. But exactly what you say right now, Ken, what am I making out of it? Yeah, so you guys know telling me, oh yeah, you could start your own podcast and your voice is great. And I'm like, there's this one part, oh yeah, you can do it later. And there's the other part of like, just do it, man. Like, there's like those different voices in our heads, and which voice am I following now? Like, which voice am I choosing to follow? You know, and being intelligent about the emotions that we have, and which emotion in this is actually the one that brings me towards where I would love to be. So of course it is the one who's saying do the podcast, for sure. So now, okay, yeah, now I name it. And now again, when we're going back to self-worth, what Aldrin said, it's now my, yeah, I to be responsible for my own emotions and to really keep on building my self-worth and my inner strength of the things that I say. Now obviously I have to follow through that. If I don't, now I have, like, how many people are following this? I don't know, so there's a little a big accountability list eventually right now. However, we really have to follow through to, say, to go to bed and to give us hugs and to give some love to ourselves, and to be kind, because every time we do not follow through is basically a punishment that we place on ourselves. And this is something we have to be very mindful of.
Yeah, I love it, Jan. So this could be the start of your podcast now. We've planted the seed and we've got lots of people watching this going to say, yes, where's your podcast, Jan? We want to see your podcast. I can definitely help support you in that if you're ready to do that. So that is brilliant. And absolutely, 50% of anything you do is just starting, right? And how often do we put things off in life? How often do we say we're going to do this, we're going to do that, again? And then it's also knowing what to say no to sometimes, because, there is a time situation as well where we have to really look at our priorities with the time that we have available. And of course, we all have the same amount of time on the planet, and that's where actually letting go of parts of what we're doing that we're not totally in flow with, letting go and growing the team, and finding other experts to actually assist you on your journey, and who are doing what they absolutely love, to actually work together. That can definitely help fast track your success in any area. So yes, absolutely love that. Ken, over to you.
So, I was writing this down so I didn't forget it this time. I also like what you said, Jarne, about, when you're in that state and you are speaking powerful, positive things to yourself, like, I am powerful, I am this, I am that, and your mind and your body's just like, nope, you're not. I really like what you said on how to go back and remember when you did feel that way, and to make that connection. And that actually spoke volumes to me. I was like, oh, okay, that's a great idea, because there are often times where I am building myself up. I am, saying these things and going, you're powerful, you're great, you have a passion for this, you have a passion for that. And then that little voice comes in and goes, yeah, but this over here, and yeah, but this over here, and yeah, but this, and yeah, this, and this, and this, and this. And sometimes it's really hard for me to actually feel that way in that moment. Another really good example of this is, one of my mentors that I'm working with right now. He's trying to get me to visualize, months where I'm making 10K, 20K per month. And even as I speak those words, there is so much disbelief coming up for me inside. So much disbelief. But with using that tactic, I could probably find somewhere in my life where I felt that way before. I felt, if you will, financially comfortable in my life, and then make that connection for the belief. And so what you said, Jarne, that's to me, that is absolutely powerful. So I want to give you a shout out for that.
Yeah, love that.
Thank you. And I just jump in there. And we can connect those moments, like those positive beliefs, with anything. I mean, if we want to clear out some emotional blocks that we have, now what I do with clients as well, I bring them into the emotion maybe even into the event that caused this emotion first to appear. And then we're extracting the wisdom and really, the knowledge that is behind there, which is mostly power, love, those types of things. And then we replace that old feeling with that learning and really make something very beautiful and empowering out of that. And what we can do to bring us back to moments in the past, no matter what, sometimes beautiful, sometimes firstly maybe negative experiences, but we can always change it around through replacing those negative emotions maybe with something beautiful, with the learning, because there's always the opposite. No matter what, we're living in that polarity. Yeah, always that it's sometimes difficult for us in the moment of stress to see that, but to know that it's possible might be beneficial for maybe for many people already, because it's always a matter of perception. Like, how am I perceiving this moment right now? We're all coming from different angles. Everyone who's watching this, but also we three, we perceive things slightly different. But also now, viewing things from a different angle. If I go on the angle Ken is viewing his struggle, right, sometimes, like this helps me then again to understand the human mind from another perspective. And I can learn always from everyone. And I think this is also what emotional intelligence is about, to really be open to other people's perspectives and ways of they might look at things and perceive things, to really gaining a brighter perspective and opening our horizon to what is possible. And then what is possible, this is just how far your mind can go. And this is my personal belief. Not maybe not everyone wants to think like that, but I think there are infinite possibilities, and everything that exists in my mind, now I go for it. So I start believing it. I start rewiring my brain so I can move forward the way that I want to move forward. And it might not always be the easiest path, but I can start believing that it's easy. And I say to myself so many times, it's easy, it's easy. Challenge comes, okay, yeah, it's easy. There's always a solution. This is kind of how I rewire my brain. And I was suffering a lot in my life. I had so much pain. I had to fight with so much darkness coming here, very, very light, but being born in a world full of suffering, full of pain, and being empathetic and really being like this sponge, getting all of those emotions from other people, not knowing which are mine and which are not. And I mean, it's can be overwhelming in this world, like knowing which voice, which feeling is actually mine and which is not. And I think we all have that. We are all empaths. I believe so. We are all introverts. We are all extroverts. It's like, where are we choosing to stand right now, or what have we experienced in the past, and we are all both, and we're finding ourselves all back in the middle and becoming neutral, and really gaining the control over our highs and over our lows is important, to then transmute energies, transmute the negative into a positive, or the positive into negative. However, light and dark, we couldn't see the one without the other. And wow, it's so beautiful to finally see, that we as collective also learning so much about ourselves, and that anything is possible. And it's really just beautiful to see how we develop as collective and as species. Yeah.
I love that. And the labels we put on ourselves, like I'm introvert or I'm extrovert, or I'm shy, or I'm this or I'm that. And they're actually all, they're personality traits that we've developed over time. And you could actually develop any personality trait whatsoever, I believe, because as they say in Landmark, we're everything and nothing. You're everything and nothing, right? You are what you say What you say, you are. What you think about and think about, you bring about. There's another great saying. What you think about and think about, you bring about. Coming back to gratitude and how that lifts your consciousness. And of course, Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness is brilliant. Check out the Conscious Community Global Facebook group. We have a visual of that. When you get in different emotions, you are either expanded or contracted. And when you're in an expanded state, you will attract more opportunities. You will attract more of what you want in life. And getting clear on what it is you actually want in life is really crucial as well, right? What is it you want? What is it you want from your life? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be and show up for? How do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered in life? That's a great question to ask, right? At the end of your life, looking back. Yes, Ken.
Sorry, I wanted to pop in there. And I know that we are actually getting ready to wrap up here. But there is one, I've heard this term a lot. And when I hear this term, which you just said, Jarne, I often think that's a little woo-woo. But I kind of want, because I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe it doesn't have to be, because maybe it just has to do with our intuition about certain people. Maybe it just has to be, you've got that gut feeling about something or something like that. Maybe that's what that is. So I want you to quickly explain, what do you mean by we are all empathic? Because when I hear that term, I often think, okay, we're up here now, so I can read this person's thoughts or I can read that person's thoughts. And I'm not quite sure. I think it's not so much that. I think it actually might be more on the lines of intuition, more on the lines of gut, and different things. So can you further explain that?
Sure. For me, intuition is also the voice of our higher self. Where our soul is speaking to us. We can also call it God voice. I believe in soul level, in soul consciousness, we are all connected to each other. So if some people choose to tune into frequencies or choose to tune into people, and they're not even consciously aware of it, but because they're acting in that space, they're automatically doing and automatically receiving those informations, because they're on that intuitive scale, more developed souls eventually, or they haven't made too many choices that they cut themselves off from their intuition. I didn't even knew how to interpret intuition as I was a child, because no one told me about that. People talked about, listen to your intuition. I'm like, which voice is actually the voice of my intuition? I did not even knew how an intuition feels, because my heart was so closed. And listen, really, I think the more we're opening our heart, the more we practice gratitude, the more we practice connectedness. We're on the soul plane. We are all connected. We are all one. And, there's no difference between, we all feel the same emotions. We're all going through some stuff, we're all experiencing this human journey. And I believe the more we come together and opening our hearts and doing good things, then we're really moving towards being more intuitive and more knowledgeable about which voice is actually serving me right now and which voice do I choose to follow.
Yes, I believe we all have intuitive powers. I think some people just can access it more easily than others. And I think half the thing is just getting conscious to the monkey chatter in the brain, and all of that, and actually letting that go and actually coming into the body, because, they say we have three brains, right? There's the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. And, when you've heard that saying, we only use 10% of our brain, that I'd say the 10% is often in the monkey mind, in the mental chatter. Often people are detached from the heart brain and the gut brain, which are actually, when you look at Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness or the energy centers, a lot of people's energy is blocked in those lower centers, right? And we tend to come very much from the headspace. And I know I've been like this as a journalist for many years. It's been very much in the headspace, and people do view this heart space and gut space. Some people view it as all woo-woo, right? And that's, that's all woo-woo stuff, because they don't really get it. They don't understand it until they do understand it, until they do get it, right? And that's the thing, is I do believe that it's all part of the human experience, right? And it's all part of this emotional intelligence of actually, growing an awareness to that. And for me, a lot of it has actually been slowing down to speed up, slow down to speed up, to take time to meditate, to take time to breathe. One thing I love doing is hopping in saunas, and I just close my eyes in the sauna, and I just let myself just go wherever my mind wants to go. It's a form of meditation. I just go inward and I just appreciate the moment. And I think, that can be really powerful. Is the power is in the present, as they say, being present to the moment, being present to silence, to actually being okay with some silence in your life as well. It doesn't all have to be go, go, go all the time. Right. And Jarne, you seem to be very good at this. You seem very, very relaxed. Are there times that you ever get worked up about things and do you ever get angry or, frustrated about things, or how do you calm yourself down so well?
I choose not to feel anger very often. I mean, I do get angry about things that I see in this world, and I have been, but I choose now not to, because I just don't want to feel that way. Now I speak about things, and I sometimes really, it wants to come out, and I have to express it then. So I have to talk about the things that make me angry to heal it. I have to feel it first, to acknowledge it, not to push it away, because it'll chase me if I try to push away. It'll be there. The shadow will never leave me when I'm out in the sun. It'll always be there. So I have to acknowledge it, but I have to speak about it now. And yeah, I haven't been like that always, as well. So I have, and I think we all have, and we're not at the same time. And for us to acknowledge that we already have it all, to accept that, rather than fighting and finding the peace, you say it. We have to find things that, bring us this relaxation. So how do we do that? Just do what you love and love what you do. Like do things and be joyful in the things that you do. Find things that bring you joy and do them. Don't do what you do not enjoy. Like, just don't do this. If it brings you joy, go for it, because then you vibrate high. This is how you manifest great things in your life. If you do things just to please other people, like, you're not really emotional intelligent. You're not really listening to yourself. You're not listening to your intuition, because you're not doing what you actually love to do. And there's again the intuition comes into the game, So yeah, it's been everything is connected.
Yes, I think that's the absolute goal. And as Bob Proctor said in his video online, where people asked him, how do you find your purpose? That's exactly, Bob Proctor said, do what you love, do as much as you can of what you love every single day. And he died at 87, worked right up until the end of his life recently, and was an amazing inspiration for the world. And I think that is the absolute key. And I think also sometimes, like, I must say, I don't like cleaning my house generally, but if I put some good funky music on, I can really get stuck into it and go, wow, this is great. So I can find ways to bring joy to things, even if I'm not really enjoying doing it, right? And then some people say, just get a cleaner, just get a cleaner and get a cleaner. Sometimes, sometimes you just want something cleaned, and the cleaner's not going to be there at every second unless you have a live-in cleaner. So, sometimes I think there's times when we're going to do things at times we don't enjoy doing. However, look at ways you can find the joy or bring joy to that experience. Like cleaning up clutter. You could look at it, cleaning up clutter. You could look at it as a discovery process. Like, oh, I forgot I had that. Right? Oh my gosh, somebody could really use that and love that if I'm not using it, right? So there's ways I think we can bring joy even to things that we may not enjoy doing in general, where we're not totally in flow. So yes, loving this conversation. Frank's saying, hello, Frank from Sydney. Frank Di Bartolo says, I need to go back and watch the earlier part because I'm feeling what Ken is saying right now. So he was feeling what you were saying, Ken, about the money. That was when you're talking about the money and not feeling comfortable with earning 10K or 100 a month or whatever it is, right? LinkedIn user here. I'm not sure which LinkedIn user, but thank you, LinkedIn user. Thanks for sharing your authentic selves and stories to empower us to understand and change ourselves from the inside out. So many valuable teachings and learnings. Thank you so much, LinkedIn user. Now, we have popped some links in there for you. We'd love you to like our Total Truth Show on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/Total Truth Show. We've also popped in there the Global Good News Challenge link as well. All the details on how to participate. Very simple live video challenge where you will definitely evolve emotionally as you do these challenges, because I know a lot of people have a lot of fear with getting on camera, and sharing gratitude is one of the most powerful things you will be able to do. And that's a way you can do that. We share your challenges out to thousands of people. It's absolutely free. Check it out there. And also our Conscious Community Global Facebook group. We have some amazing, life-changing, mind-blowing documentaries and amazing stuff in there. So check out our Conscious Community Global Facebook group. All the details there about what it's about and some of the things you check out there will blow your mind. I recommend, if you haven't watched the Thrive documentaries, watch the Thrive documentaries. It's very much in line with what we're talking about here. Watch the 2 Thrive documentaries, particularly in there. They will blow your mind, and so many other amazing ones in there. Now, we are about to wrap up. So before we do, Jarne, is there anything else you want to say around emotional intelligence before we share your links of how people can connect with you?
Yes, that love is very, very different to what the majority of the people think on this planet. And love is not all about butterflies. And the truth is sometimes painful, but to release the pain and to release the tension, we at first have to feel and to acknowledge it and to love us for who we are and for what we believe, what we stand for in our lives. And yeah, love is not all about butterflies. I want to leave it there.
Love is not all about butterflies. Love that. Although I do love butterflies. I love the transformation, a symbol of butterflies. Now, we've got some links here so people can connect with you on LinkedIn. I'll just pop them up here. We have here, all right, LinkedIn. They can connect with Jarne, the Healing Magician, and they can also book a free consultation with you as well on that link there. So fantastic, Jarne. It's been such a pleasure having you on. We'll come back to you in just a sec. And Ken, how can people connect with you, my dear? Just unmute yourself, Ken.
There's 2 different links. There's the link to my Facebook group. Definitely connect with me there. And then there's my link tree. Do you have those, Aldwyn?
I've got the Ken's group one here. And I think I do have your link tree. I'll just have a look for that. So here's Ken's Facebook group. What's the name of your Facebook group?
So the URL for the Facebook group is www.tinyurl.com/Ken's group, KENS, and then group. And so there's that. So that's my Facebook group. So if you're interested in, getting healthier, if you're interested in losing weight, if you're interested on educating yourself on foods, harmful ingredients, different things like that, all of that encompassing, that's what my group is about. It's about empowering people to start making better decisions in what they're eating. It's about blasting food through the disinformation and misinformation of the health and wellness industry, which that entire industry is literally designed to keep you sick, stuck, and overweight, because that's how they make money. And so that's one of the things I'm very, very passionate about. It's what I instill and teach in my clients that I work with. And then my link tree, the first few links right up at the top of my link tree are the most important links, so you've got the link to book an appointment with me. You've got my Facebook group. So, those are all in there as well.
I actually don't have your link tree here saved. I've just popped your calendar link there. So if you could just pop that into the private chat.
Let me achieve it for you.
Yeah, just pop that in private chat. And meanwhile, I will share my Linktree link. My Linktree link has all details about how to connect. And I have a great event coming up in Brisbane soon called Skyrocket Your Success, which I'm doing with Lorna Buckland, one of my clients in our Mass Media Mastery program. And for those who want more support to be seen, heard, and known, please reach out and connect here. You can also book a call with me at my calendar link on my link tree, which is linktr.ee/Aldwyn, ALDWYN. And Ken's link is here. Here it is. Link tree. I'm going to save it this time. Okay.
Yeah, please save it. I keep thinking that you have it and then you don't.
Yeah, I didn't actually copy it into my other doc, but I'm going to copy it right now. I'm copying it right now. So there it is, Linktree for Ken, linktr.ee/FatFighterKen, Fat Fighter Ken. And Ken also has a great podcast as well called Fat Fighter, the Patriot Fat Fighter podcast.
Patriot Fat Fighter Ken, yeah.
Patriot Fat Fighter Ken podcast as well, which is awesome. Thank you so much. Now, we like to wrap up here with a favorite quote or saying. So, Ken, what is your favorite quote or saying of the day?
Yes. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. And that is by Donald J. Trump.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ken. And Jan, do you have a favorite quote or saying that you like to live by?
So I already gave you one with love is not all about butterflies, but I have a second one. Feel your way to fulfillment.
Oh, that's nice. Feel your way to fulfillment. Love that. And try saying that 5 times really fast. Feel your way to fulfillment.
I'm not even going to entertain that.
Feel your way to fulfillment 5 times really fast. I love it. Thank you so much. And mine for today is by Margaret Mead, and is a small group of thoughtful people can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined us live, and for those watching the replay, let us know in the comments, what did you get from this episode? If you've enjoyed this today, please like the Total Truth Show on Facebook, and please follow us on our other links as well. Stay connected and share the love. Share the love on your social media profiles wherever you're watching this now. We would love that. Sending you much love this Easter. Hope you have a wonderful time. And here's to my challenge to you is to have a conversation with someone that maybe you've been avoiding, and help to create some peace in that area for you. If you have any areas where you're not feeling peace and you think maybe it's time to have a conversation with that person, or at least reach out and send them love and just say, look, I care about you. I don't, whatever it is that, I know you're probably avoiding me, etc., but I just want you to know that I actually do care about you and I wish you all the best. And that could be it. And that could be a great way to find peace for yourself. So I'm going to challenge you this Easter. Could be a family member that you've been avoiding, have those conversations, and everything can be resolved, as they say, with communication. Everything can be resolved, right? However, feel into it too, as Jan says, feel into it before you do it, and then just take action. Take action, I recommend, and I'm going to be doing the same. I'll be doing the same, looking in my life of where there's any areas that maybe I'm not feeling completely at peace, and how can I bring more peace to those areas and take my emotional intelligence to the next level, because it is an ongoing journey, my friends. All right, sending you much love. Thank you so much, Jan, for joining us. Thank you, Ken, my amazing co-host. We will see you again. Total Truth Show. Check out some of our previous episodes. Any final words, Jan?
Much love to you all. And yeah, just feel the love that you have for yourself, and do everything to love yourself.
Yes, love that. In fact, I love that so much. I'm actually going to put the yes button on that one.
Yes. Give me a Y. Give me an E. Give me an S.
Yes. And one more. Yeah. Oh, and one more. Yes, I love that. And Ken, any final words?
Now, just thank you to our viewers. Thank you for those of you who joined us and didn't just join us, but joined in on the conversation and actually, participated with us. We definitely appreciate that, and we welcome that for sure.
Yes, we welcome that. And we have more amazing episodes lined up. So stay tuned, stay connected, sending you all much love. We look forward to seeing you back here on Total Truth Show, and stay connected online. There's always support for you. Okay, lots of love. Happy Easter. Bye.